Hello, everyone, and welcome to Daily English Dose. Today, we're not just going to talk about English listening practice. We're going to talk about something that can change your life, bring you peace, power, and freedom. We're going to talk about the difference between reacting and responding. Think about a time when you lost your temper. Maybe it was a rude comment online, a sarcastic remark from a friend, or a driver cutting you off in traffic. In that moment, you felt a surge of anger. Your heart pounded, your voice got louder, and you said or did something you later regretted. You reacted. And in that reaction, you lost something precious: your peace, your control, and your power. This happens to everyone. We live in a noisy world that constantly demands our reaction. People want to get a rise out of us. They want to see us lose our cool. They want to trigger our anger, our sadness, our fear. But what if you could change that? What if you could learn to stay calm when everything around you is chaos? What if you could become untouchable? This video is not just for language learners. This video is for anyone who is tired of feeling like a victim of their own emotions. It's for anyone who wants to take their power back. By the end of this video, you will not only understand this concept, but you will also learn how to practice it every single day. And as a bonus, your English will get much stronger because this video is full of useful phrases and expressions. Ready? Let's begin. Part 1. Reaction is automatic. Response is a choice. Imagine this. You're at work. Your manager walks by and makes a critical comment about your project in front of your colleagues. Your first instinct is to get defensive. Your face gets red, your voice gets tight, and you want to say something rude back. That is a reaction. It's fast. It's emotional. It's out of your control. A response, however, is different. A response is a choice. A response is intentional. Let's go back to that same situation. The manager makes a comment, you pause, you take a deep breath, and you decide how you want to act. You might say, "Thank you for the feedback. I will look into it," or you might simply nod and continue your work. This is a response. It's calm, it's considered, and it keeps you in control. The difference is subtle but powerful. A reaction is what a child does. A response is what a leader does. Story time. There was a young man named Alex who was a brilliant graphic designer. He worked hard, often staying late to perfect his projects. One day during a team meeting, his boss said his latest design was amateurish in front of the whole team. Alex felt a wave of anger and shame. His first thought was to argue, to list all the hours he spent on the project. But then he remembered a lesson he had learned. He took a breath and simply said, "I appreciate the direct feedback. I'll make the necessary revisions." Later that day, his boss approached him privately and said, "Alex, I was wrong to criticize you in front of everyone, but I was impressed by how you handled it. You showed incredible maturity." Alex didn't win the argument, but he won his boss's respect. He didn't react, he responded. Part 2. The 5-second pause. Our biggest mistake is reacting too quickly. When someone insults you or a situation feels unfair, there's a biological urge to fight back. The key is to create a small gap between the trigger and your action. This gap is your moment of power. I want you to try something simple. It's called the 5-second pause. The next time someone says something you don't like, instead of immediately speaking, do this. Stop. Don't say anything. Don't make a face, just stop. Breathe. Inhale slowly through your nose for 3 seconds, hold for 1 second, and exhale for 3 seconds through your mouth. Think. In those 5 seconds, ask yourself, is reacting worth my peace? Will this help me or hurt me? This simple act of pausing changes everything. It gives your logical brain time to catch up with your emotional brain. That is where you take back your power. Example. Imagine you're having a difficult conversation with a family member. They say something hurtful. Your mind immediately prepares a hurtful response. But you take a pause. You breathe. And in those 5 seconds, you realize that saying something mean will only make the situation worse. So instead of reacting with anger, you respond with a calm voice. I understand you're upset. Can we talk about this when we are both calm? This shows strength, not weakness. Part 3. Why silence is a superpower. In a loud world, the quiet person has the most power. We often feel we need to explain ourselves, defend ourselves, or get the last word. But sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Silence is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of control. When you don't react, you create a sense of mystery. People don't know what you're thinking. They don't know if they've hurt you or if you are already one step ahead of them. That mystery is your power. Story time. Mark was a company executive. One day, a manager from a rival company made baseless claims about Mark on social media. They made a post filled with lies and twisted information. Everyone expected Mark to respond immediately and defend himself against the slander. But Mark did nothing. He just stayed focused on his work and remained silent. 6 months later, the rival manager's claims were disproven by their own employees. Mark's silence elevated him more powerfully than trying to prove his innocence could have. He didn't have to defend himself because his actions spoke for him. He was quiet, but his quietness was louder than any argument. Part 4. Learn to protect your energy. Your emotional energy is a precious resource. Think of it like a battery. Every time you react to a negative comment, a small argument, or someone's drama, you are draining your battery. And you don't have infinite energy. You must become a gatekeeper of your own energy. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every person is worth your emotional investment. How to protect your energy. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? If the answer is no, then let it go. Don't respond. Don't engage. Choose your battles. You can't win every argument. The goal isn't to be right all the time. The goal is to be at peace. Detach emotionally. Learn to see situations from a distance. A rude driver is not an attack on you personally. It's a reflection of their own stress. Don't take it personally. Part 5. The habit of calmness. Being calm is not a natural talent. It's a skill you must practice every single day. Just like a musician practices their instrument or an athlete practices their sport, you must practice calmness. Practical exercises for calmness. The spilled coffee test. The next time you accidentally spill something, instead of getting frustrated, just breathe and clean it up. This small moment is a great opportunity to practice not reacting. Observe your reactions. Throughout your day, pay attention to when you feel the urge to react. Maybe it's a long queue at the bank or a slow internet connection. Just notice the feeling without acting on it. This awareness is the first step to change. Use I understand. When someone says something you don't like, instead of arguing, you can simply say, I understand. You don't have to agree. You are simply acknowledging their words without getting emotionally involved. This is a very powerful phrase. Part 6. The responder wins. One of the greatest mistakes you can make in life is trying to fight every battle, to defend yourself in every argument, to prove your worth to every critic, to respond to every message, every insult, every misunderstanding. It sounds brave, but in reality, it's how you destroy your energy, your peace, your focus, and your future. Because here's what you must understand. Not everything is worth your time. Not everyone deserves a reaction from you. Not every problem needs your emotional investment. You have limited energy in a day. And every time you give it to the wrong person, you have less left for the right things. You give your energy to gossip, you lose energy for your goals. You give your energy to hate, you lose energy for love. You give your energy to what drains you and then wonder why you feel empty. Some people want your reaction not because they care about you, but because it feeds their ego to see you disturbed, broken, triggered. They don't want peace. They want drama. And if you keep stepping into their world, you will never build your own. Story time. Sarah was a bright, disciplined, and focused marketing expert. Her career was rising fast. However, a former colleague began spreading lies about her on social media, damaging her reputation. The colleague called her a thief and attributed her success to stealing other people's ideas. Sarah got angry. She wrote long posts online, trying to defend herself and wanting everyone to know the truth. She cried at night. Weeks passed. She lost her focus, her passion for work diminished, and she became a bitter person. All because she gave her energy to something she should have walked away from. She could have said nothing. She could have let her actions speak. But she gave away her energy to people who never deserved it. Years later, she said something heartbreaking. I didn't lose because of what they said. I lost because I tried to fix what didn't matter. Part 7. Let go of ego, choose peace. There's a reason people suffer so much in silence. It's not always because of pain, fear, or other people. Most of the time, it's because of ego. That silent, invisible voice inside that says, they should have treated me better. I need to prove I was right. I deserve more respect. And that hurts you. You think, I can't let them win. And so you react. But what you don't realize is this. Ego is not your power. Ego is your prison. It's the reason you stay stuck, angry, and restless. The ego always wants to be seen, loved, admired, and respected. But when the world doesn't give you those things, and it won't, the ego panics. And when the ego panics, you react. You shout in the middle of an argument because your ego says, they can't talk to me like that. You reply to a hate comment because your ego says, they don't know who I am. You explain your side in every fight because your ego says, I must defend myself. But here's the truth nobody wants to hear. You don't need to defend what's already real. You don't need to prove what already exists. And you don't need to be loud to be right. The moment you drop the ego, you rise. Because ego lives in pain, but your soul lives in peace. Story time. There was a man who worked for a company for years. He gave everything, his time, his health, his loyalty. But one day, the company fired him without warning or apology. The man was filled with rage. His ego screamed, how could they do this to me? Don't they know who I am? I gave them everything. He wanted to expose the company and get revenge. But before doing anything, he spoke to his grandmother, a woman who had lived through wars, betrayals, and poverty, and still carried peace in her eyes. She said, my child, listen carefully. You don't heal by proving others wrong. You heal by proving to yourself that their actions will not control your future. Those words changed him forever. He didn't fight. He didn't attack. He walked away in silence, with dignity and clarity. 6 months later, he started his own company quietly and consistently. Years later, he was more successful than the very people who had betrayed him because he let go of ego and held on to peace. So, the next time life throws a challenge at you, remember this. You don't have to enter every fight you're invited to. You don't have to react to every criticism. You don't have to prove your worth to people who never saw it in the first place. Of course, it's not always possible or right to stay completely silent in every area of life. Sometimes, instead of staying silent, a powerful and conscious response is necessary. The important thing is to understand the difference. An action made with anger is a reaction. An action made with calmness, logic, and strategy is a response. Remember, the choice is yours. You have a choice. You can be the person who is controlled by their emotions, or you can be the person who controls them. You can be the person who reacts like a storm, or you can be the person who stands still like a mountain. The path to peace, to success, to a better life is not found in winning every argument. It's found in knowing which arguments are not worth fighting at all. Choose to be a responder, not a reactor. Choose peace over drama. Choose strength over noise. If the lessons in this video touched you in any way, do us a favor and click the like button. This way, the video can reach more people who need it. To continue walking this path with us, don't forget to click the subscribe button. Remember, this video was not just a listening practice. It was also a guide to protecting your peace. Share the good you're doing for yourself in the comments. Write down the most important thing you learned from this video and have decided to apply in your life. Or just write this one sentence: I choose peace. These words will not just be a comment, but a powerful promise to yourself. And if you want to get more English practice and watch more videos that will improve your life, don't forget to check out our other videos on the channel. Remember, consistent listening, confident speaking,